Hello.
Hi,
Are you in the library?
I am.
Oh, adorable. No, I am scarfing down my dinner and
Hi
I'm not on
there.
That's
camera today
okay.
because I just
That's all
came
right.
with the camera.
That's okay.
Thank you for sending the link. I searched and searched and I'm like, I know, I saw it.
I know it's always on the town website.
Oh, that's
So
true.
yeah.
Well, my dinner got over late and so I was panicking
Yeah,
trying to find it. I'm like,
that's
wait a
okay.
minute, I know
That's
I
all
saw
right.
it.
Yes. Yeah,
Anyway,
it's
thank you.
okay. It's it's that we're still learning how to do all of this stuff,
It's true. It's true.
yes.
There's probably a good way to save it, but maybe I should save them into my Google Calendar. Then I could find it.
You can do that. You could save it
should
into
do
your
that.
Google Calendar.
That's what I should do.
Yeah, or
That's what
just
I-
remember that it's on the town website
Yeah.
because so I'm logged in on two computers because I like to use the computer at the main desk a lot, so that's where most of my documents are. But
Mhm.
it doesn't have a camera and then I have to wear a headset with it. So then I have my laptop set up too. So that way if I want to share something, I
Uh-huh.
can just do it.
Uh-huh.
And it's easier than 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 doing other things. So
I'll try to remember to put it in my Google Calendar. I don't know if I'll
yeah,
be working again or not, but I was using my Google Calendar all the time when I was working. We haven't heard about the grant for this year, so I don't really know. Anyway, thank you for taking the notes last time. That was helpful.
you're welcome.
Hey, y'all. Melanie's here. Hey, Tim. Hey, Savannah.
Oh,
Michelle's my hero.
they
She's
were
been
at the
doing-
end of, oh, I am.
You've been doing the agendas for months and I've just been like sitting on my butt watching you going, thanks.
It's really okay. You're working and I'm not, so it's really okay. If I can do that little piece to help out, that's fine. You can do the heavy lifting when we get into the hard stuff where we need your skills for sure.
Yes.
But Marianne, I just noticed that your Zoom link is at the end of your director's meeting. Director's notes, and I knew I'd read it. I read it somewhere. I thought it was like not in notes. I thought it was in an email. That's why I was like, I'm like searching through all these things.
I know.
Anyway,
I know.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll try to remember to do that, put it in, because we're gonna have a lot of stuff. I mean, it goes in a hard calendar, but I think that putting the link in the Google Calendar would make sense. It'd be easier to find.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just remember, it's always on the town website.
Yeah.
And then I almost always put it in the director report, but and I'll try to do that, and that way you know where to look for it.
I knew I'd seen it.
And you know what I do? So I star. I mean, everybody's email program is different too, but in the library director email, which is a Google email, I star certain things, and then I just have to look in the start emails instead of looking through all of those other emails. So if and I we all get tons of emails and it's hard to keep track of everything, but yeah, it's always
Actually a lot from you, Marianne, lately.
Yes. Well,
and it's not going to get any better, right? So
no, it's hopefully it's only going to get worse.
I know.
But it's short timing, so
yeah,
we'll get through this quickly. So Savannah, I thought I saw Savannah.
He was here for a minute.
Yeah.
I know Brad said he had a conflict and was gonna come, but he might be late, right?
Yeah,
yes,
and
right.
I just got an email from him saying he's going to be late. So
okay.
So
we have a quorum, however.
Yeah, we do.
It only takes 4 of us for a quorum. Can I just say something completely irrelevant? Melanie, your hair looks super cute.
Oh, it's the humidity.
I know. It's just, we said the exact same thing last week when someone complimented my hair. It was just like,
yeah, it's just my hair is like a barometer.
Salon. Yeah, it looks great though.
Oh, thank you. Do I have to note in the notes that I'm taking that Brad and Savannah are late?
I did the time we did the elections just because Savannah wasn't there for the vote, and I just thought maybe I should say that.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
Is Savannah coming back? Do we know?
Probably.
I can't remember what, there was a date that she wasn't going to be there, but I don't remember what it was for, which date it
But
was.
she was just on right now.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
she
Yeah, I
was.
think she's probably just having tech challenges.
Okay, all right.
I was just add her, put her in, and then if she doesn't come back, take her out or do whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true. You can edit it later.
and I have
Okay.
to remember to watch both screens because it's not going to tell me on this one that I'm
So you
looking
can
at
let Brad
here.
in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
All right,
So-
Katie, Dave, you finished your dinner? Or do you want me to chair? It's up to you.
Would you go ahead? That would be awesome.
Sure,
Thank you.
I can, yep. So we'll start by reviewing the minutes from the last meeting, which was August 9th that Mary Ann took. And they looked good to me. I just had one question. I wondered, Mary Ann, if, or it said number 2 under the director's report, maybe you said this in the report, I don't remember, but in the notes you said discussion about mediated sessions. And I thought, should we put what the purpose was beyond just to encourage community dialogue? Or not? Or do you feel like it's not that relevant? Or did you say it in the director's report? Because I read the minutes first.
yeah, I don't think I said any more. What else would be the purpose?
I don't, to create a safe environment or something I thought I read somewhere for people to speak.
Um,
Oh, yeah, in the director's report, you had more specifics, so maybe we don't need
okay.
to.
So what do I say in the director's report?
You said, she said that they're going to be focused on creating a space where people feel comfortable sharing their opinions and questions and feel heard. So since it's there, I don't feel like we need
Okay.
to clarify that. I just
Okay.
wasn't sure because I read the minutes
Okay.
first, like I said. Okay.
Okay.
So does anybody have any other comments about the minutes from the 9th? Any additions, clarifications? No? Does anybody want to make a
No.
motion to
I
accept
make a
them?
motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Okay. Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, you
I
weren't
Aye.
there last time, Melanie, actually, so someone else has to second, maybe me or Tim.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
Okay, Tim second. Okay, so all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, good, that's done.
Are
Was that
people missing a
unanimous?
video for Kate's cell? I can't see.
I'm not on video.
She's not on
today.
video yet.
I've just
Oh,
had it with
and there's
cameras.
There's another blank screen that says meeting host.
That's me.
That's Mary
But-
Ann.
Yeah, but I can see you. There's 2 screens for you that are labeled
Yes,
meeting host.
I'm very special.
Okay,
I'm using 2 computers. So 'cause that way I can do many things all at once
okay.
in a more comfortable way for me. Okay.
Great, okay, so the next part is the director's report, and a lot of the things below you may be elaborating on, so maybe we don't need to talk about all of
But
them.
can I
but
just ask a question about the minutes? So should I put respectfully submitted and sign my name and then
Yes,
send them to
Yes.
Grace?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
Yes.
thank you
So
for
Can
asking.
I ask a question about the minutes too? Was it just me or did I remember that we were punting approving the last minutes to this time?
No, we did those already.
We did the, okay.
We
as
did them
long as-
last time, yeah,
Okay,
and
thank you.
I cleaned them up and I just got around to sending them the other day.
Again, you're my hero. Sorry, I misremembered.
No, Michelle Cunningham. It always took me a long time to get the minutes, dealing with the minutes, so. Okay,
Can I ask a quick question about taking notes for regarding the director's report? Since everything's in the director's report, do I just write brief notes about what we may have talked about, like discussed in the director's report?
Yes,
Yeah.
and then you attach the director's report to the minutes.
oops, I didn't do that when I sent them.
That's all right. It's okay.
Yeah,
I-
just put that if there's a discussion about any particular item, if it's just more that Mary Ann's sharing with us, and there's not a lot of discussion, I don't think you need to put anything because her reports are always really clear, so. All
Okay.
right, Mary Ann, you're on.
So here I am. So I sent a director's report. Does everybody have it?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Let me pull it up for myself. Does anybody have any questions about it?
The only thing I didn't do was pull up the MBLC website to see what their full regulations are. Maybe you could summarize, or did you already, or what you said, did that summarize it enough?
Oh, the full regulations are pages. It's like 30 pages.
Yeah.
When we were doing this 10 years ago, Michelle, I used to read those regulations over and over and over and over again because it's confusing.
Mhm.
But I put the link there because I was you know, I was, this is the regulation about certification. So in a
Oh, okay.
nutshell,
Okay,
we have to be open a certain number of hours a week.
Yeah.
We have to have that 2.5% budget increase. The
right.
library director is required to have a certain amount of education. We are required to do reciprocal borrowing. So let people, share our items with other libraries and let people from other communities borrow from us. And we're required to spend a certain amount of our budget on new materials for the library. So that's the sort of the nutshell of the
Right.
regulations. And in COVID, they suspended the materials expenditure, the hours open. They didn't suspend the 2.5% budget increase. And they have now reinstated everything. And there was some discussion that if there was a surge again, that they may then scale things back. But they aren't scaling things back yet, and they don't expect to right now. So, and I think, if it's safe to go to grocery stores, it's probably safe to go to some libraries. I think our library is especially problematic. But there aren't a ton of people coming in. And it may actually be better to have it be, just unrestricted opening, because people haven't sort of caught on to how the whole appointment system works anyway. And people show up at all hours of the day and night. It wouldn't surprise me if someone didn't come knocking on the door now. And I have to get a new car. That's what it is. So it may be better. And we're just going to have to continue kind of experimenting and doing the best we can. And if things really do get, like they were last winter, then we'll say, okay, forget it. State certification isn't worth somebody getting sick. But my sense is people probably won't be coming in anyway. And I'm not going to stop doing the outdoor pickup because a lot of libraries really don't have people asking for outdoor pickup, but we still have a lot of people doing outdoor pickup. So, it's safer for everybody, for people to just pick up their stuff outside. So we'll do the best we can, and we'll just start that week after Labor Day, and I'll think, which is not next week, but the following week. And so I'll, by next week, I'll figure out what schedule we're going to try, and I'll let you know, and we'll see how it goes. And I think it'll be okay. And the Board of Health hasn't replied to me. I asked them for, an opinion on capacity, but they've been really busy with other things. So I'll give them another day, and then I'll try and email to them again.
So if there was a capacity limit, could you post a sign and
Yes.
like
Yeah.
stores used to, and then
Yeah.
can you put a sign about please wear your mask or something like
Oh
that?
yeah, it's not even going to be a please wear your mask. It's
Yeah.
going to be a mask required.
Yeah, yeah.
And because we have to. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I agree.
yeah.
I just, yeah.
Yeah, we have to. And nobody's been arguing with that. Everybody's had a mask on, and if they don't have one, I give them one. That hasn't been a problem at all. So, okay.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
I have a question. What is the annual report information survey?
Oh, state reported.
Sorry.
It's done. It's done.
That's all I need to know, right?
Yeah, it's done earlier than ever before. So there are 2 rounds of state reporting. One is this annual report information survey, which is all our statistics, circulation and programming and number of volunteers and the number of staff and this number of meeting rooms, 0, and things like that. So every year that's a report that opens up July 1st, and it's for the last fiscal year. And it's due usually the 3rd week of August. This year it's due a little bit later. It's not due until next week, I think. But I just had to get that off my plate. So, and there's no way to, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of gathering statistics, and nobody, as far as I know, there isn't anybody who has figured out a way to make it easy. I mean, there are things like I keep track of the programs that, I try to keep track of stuff. And then the circulation statistics, a lot of that comes from CW Mars, but then we have digital circulation on several different platforms. And then, and then this year we added the ancestry.com, and then those statistics go in a different place. So, so anyway, it's a lot of sort of filling in. It's a giant, worksheet and filling in the different information, and it's done. And that's a requirement for certification too. And then the next report is the financial report, and that is open now and it's due. I think I put that in here. Anyway, that's due October 15th. Oh, October 1st. So I'm going to write that down in about 15 different places.
Right.
And the MBLC is good about sending reminder emails. And I've been doing these things for 14 years now. So there's nothing in them I don't know how to do, or that I even have to think about. I have to just add up all kinds of numbers and put them in. So here's Savannah coming in again. So that was that. Okay. So then the site selection news, I have the quotes are coming in. It's going to be, $20,000 to $25,000 or $20,000 to $30,000 to do the site selection investigation work that we need to do. The Friends have a meeting Wednesday evening, and I'm just going to officially ask them to fund this work. I have 2 written quotes, and I'm hoping for a 3rd. And when work gets to be over 10,000, so there's different procurement laws, and there's, one set of procurement laws for up to 10,000, and now, between 10,000 and 50,000 is another set of procurement laws. So,
Can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
Mary, aren't those laws for state funds?
Well, yes.
Procurement?
Isn't it
So
for municipal as well, though?
It
Yeah,
is.
but
It is
these
municipal.
are neither. These are neither. This is
Well,
private
I
funds.
was planning to use some of our state aid money for it, so it
Okay,
doesn't
never mind
fall.
then.
And even if we do use all Friends of the Library money, we are under a lot of scrutiny, so it makes sense for us. And so, so basically when I had to ask for this next round of quotes, I just had to ask for it in a different way. So I had to check in with our procurement officer, who's Becky, and then I just had to make sure that I asked each of the different site professionals to quote on the same thing. So I had to send them the request in writing. And so anyway, so that's done. And the hard part, so it's really much harder to get this stuff done. People aren't in their offices. And so it's, so everybody's working from home, and they have to say, I'm sorry. And then they have to go get their dog in, and then they have to apologize because their dog was barking. It's really, I haven't been, library people are so much better about being off in a different room all by themselves and having, the door closed. So it's sort of working with people who are trying to do these 9-to-5 jobs from home offices is really quite interesting. And they're all frazzled and frustrated, and they all thought they were going to be able to go back to the office, and now they're scaling that all back. So anyway, fingers crossed. I mean, I'm sure the Friends of the Library are going to agree to funding whatever we need. And then I will hire somebody Thursday morning, and hopefully all of the reports we need will be back, by long before or enough before September 30th so that we can make our site selection.
Mary Ann,
And yes,
I was invited through an email to the Friends meeting, but my understanding was that if I'm on the Board of Trustees, I should not be on the Friends.
you're the trustees liaison to the Friends.
Okay, so I'm in that capacity attending the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. So, okay.
Mary
So,
Ann,
yeah,
can I ask you a question? Do you think it's worth documenting for Lauren and Andrea the challenges that people are having? So I have done about 4 grant reports in the last 6 weeks, and every one of them is asked, what implications has COVID had for your work, right? And this is an implication that you're describing here, that you don't know whether it's going to have further implications for meeting a deadline.
well, and actually, one of the quotes says that.
Right. I just think it might
yeah.
be good to give them a heads up, because
Okay.
they're going to be thinking about that too. Right? They're responsible and intelligent people, and they're going to be thinking about how COVID is going to affect this process too. And I think that in order for them to do the best job that they want to do, they should know we're running already into a few challenges with getting the environmental impact assessment done because of COVID, just so that communication is proactive.
Even
Okay.
without COVID, I always felt like that was a really quick turnaround,
Yeah, I think it is
People who already
too.
have a lot of other work, it's, anyway.
Yeah. So, let's see. So I wrote myself a note to do that. I think that's an excellent idea. So I went over and visited the Irving Library today because I wanted to do it before our visit there next Monday. And I asked if so by this point, the other libraries should have already gone, or they might be going next Monday at noon. And the one library that was scheduled to go already canceled because of COVID. So somebody on their team was sick. So yes, I do think that, I was thinking of asking them, what happens if we couldn't get the site selection work done, or can we say it's going to be one of these 2 sites? But I think I'll just send them a note saying, that the site selection the environmental impact assessment is that, getting the quotes has been challenging because of COVID, and then and that the quotes reflect, that the providers might have an inability to get the work done because of COVID, because people aren't in their labs, people don't have full capacity, and I've ordered new computers for the library. They're not here because of COVID. So anyway, that is a good idea to just document that, so that if we do run into an issue, it won't.
I mean, I think that's right. I think that Michelle's also right, and that it's always been a really tight timeline.
Yes.
And I hope that we can make it, but we will certainly, if it comes in 2 weeks late because of this, it shouldn't disqualify us if we've given them a warning about that more than 4 weeks in advance.
Right,
And that's
okay.
the key thing, right? That's what I'm really trying
Yeah,
to.
I agree
Right.
with you, Kate. I think giving them the heads up makes total sense because
Yeah,
we can
I'll
only,
do it
you can
tomorrow.
only do what they can
Right.
do, you know?
Right, yes,
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Thanks.
good,
Really good
All
point,
right.
Kate. Okay.
good.
Speaking of library, so who is going and how many are they gonna allow in at once, Marianne?
So that's a question I asked. So who among us are going? If you're going,
I'm
so
going.
Tim's going, Michelle's going, Kate's going. Savannah, are you coming to the Irving Library? No. Melanie, are you coming to the Irving Library next Monday? No. Okay. So that's actually good. So
I'll
we
take pictures
have,
for you, Melanie.
Oh,
and
awesome.
we're gonna,
Wait, who's going? Who's going? Tim?
Me,
Tim,
Okay.
Kate, and Michelle.
and
Michelle,
Brad. Okay. Oh,
Brad.
you are going? Oh, no, you're not.
Tim.
Okay.
Kate,
So we have
Michelle,
about-
and Brad.
We have about 22 people going.
Okay,
4 members of the finance committee. We have a representative from the PTO and the Council on Aging. We have representatives from the Friends of the Library. The town administrator is going to come. Eric Starker's going to join us from the select board. And then we have people from the community who are coming. So people who were at the Tuesday night meeting, and Lauren mentioned it and they heard it. And then, and I think that she said something like, if you want to go, let Marianne know. And then when I sent out the video, I said that the next step was the Irving Library meeting. So we do have, we have 3 people who, well, we have 2 people from the community who've asked. There was somebody else who I had asked. And then at that meeting, Lauren had said that before the meeting started, she said, we really need to work on reaching out to people we don't know. Because people were saying that people who were there might not know the AC, so we should tell them where the bathroom is. And so I've been trying to reach out. Many of the people who are coming could be identified as library enthusiasts. That's a term I like to use. So anyway, I've been reaching out to people who I haven't like called or emailed anybody I don't know at all, but I've reached out to people who I don't know as well, and people who, you know, people wouldn't say, oh, that's a library enthusiast. You know, they're not necessarily opponents to the library, but this project is not something they're excited about. And so far, one person from that list has agreed to join us. And that's Julio Mendez, and who's somebody I know, and he knows me, but we're not, you know, but that's it. I don't even know, you know, I don't know his family or you know, or much about him. But he was really, you know, he was really glad to be asked and checked his calendar right away and is going to join us. And I have one more email out. Some people come because it's during the workday, and some people don't want to come because of COVID. And that's understanding. It'll just be us. When I was there today, there were a few patrons in the building, but half of them did not wear masks. And of course, we'll all be wearing masks.
right.
Because that's the right thing to do. And then our videographer, Nate's going to come and video it. He almost had a conflict, but
Oh,
he
that's
doesn't.
awesome.
Okay,
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
really great. Good
yeah,
idea, Marianne.
yes, yeah. So I just want to say the Irving Library is about 8,000 square feet, and it was more than $5 million. And I'm glad we're all going. I'm really glad I went today. It has some beautiful features. Tim, wait until you see the collaboration space. It'll be like you designed it. And but it really, it's not the library that the town of Shutesbury is going to vote to fund. So,
Is it the
and
type of library that the town of Shutesbury needs though?
no, I think it's more that, I think if the town of Shutesbury had it, it would be well used. So it has to have 2 staff people. There would be no way to have that building open safely without 2 staff people. It, I think it's, you know, I think if Shutesbury had it, Shutesbury would use it. But I think Shutesbury can do quite nicely with something more modest. And I don't think this town is going to support a $5 million project. It has a community meeting room. It says the capacity is 85 people. I don't know how they would get 85 people in there.
Is it 5 million primarily because of the square footage, or did they do something within that that's very expensive?
It's the square footage. I would say the finishes are, they have good energy systems. Like they have a whole heat pump, heating system and cooling system. It was really quite comfortable in there. It's the square footage. It's, you know, like their teen room is 4 times the size of the Leverett Library teen room. There, you know, it's gorgeous. It's very modern looking. But then it has, you know, it has carpeted floors or unfinished concrete floors in some areas. And it has the community meeting room. It has 2 small meeting rooms that are good for, you know, 4 to 6 people, 8 people. It has a maker space, and it has a children's room, the young adult room, you know, different quiet, you know, seating areas, a little cafe area, huge lobby, and so much staff workspace, you know, behind the scenes staff workspace, and then really pretty good storage space. On my drive over there, you all have to help me remember, I haven't written it down yet. We need outdoor storage space to store the kayaks. So that's something unique to us, which that won't be very expensive. But that's something we can't forget to put on our building.
Yeah.
So, you know, it'll be a lovely visit. There are good things there that there are things we can learn from the building. We're going to need to find a way to communicate to our community that we're not, I believe that we cannot ask our community for that building. And that we can use our visit and the video from that building to say, these are some of the elements, and but we want to build a library that reflects the nature, you know, the rural nature, New England nature of our small town. And, you know, we can say things like, you know, it's practical and cozy. Like there was nothing cozy about this library. You know, it was comfortable. So, and then, you know, and then the outdoor spaces, there really wasn't a lot of good thought that went into outdoor spaces. And I think that we want kind of outdoor spaces that are more inviting. And then you'll see
Well,
like the parking is really far away. And yeah.
Will
Go ahead.
that particular video have a dubbed in narrative to maybe clarify for people who are seeing it as a standalone, that to make it clear that Shutesbury is not looking for a library that size? Do you think that type of thing is necessary?
No, I think it'll just be something that I think we I think we can say this is one example and these are elements of a library. Now let's think about the library that Shutesbury needs. And, you know, and we can say something, you know, the library that Shutesbury needs, and that reflects our values and our resources. And Melanie, I hope you wrote that down, because I think that was a good phrase. And Nate and I are going to go to a handful of other small libraries that are smaller. You know, 8,000 square feet is big. I think the Pelham Library is 7,000 square feet, or maybe 6,500 square feet. And our plan the last time was 5,500.
When you're actually there, because it's more of a tour, are you planning to do anything like talk to the camera as we go through the library, so that it really becomes an informative video for people who don't really know about the possibilities of a new library?
So Lauren will do that. So Lauren will be giving us a tour and talking about it. And Nate has a mic for her to wear, and then he has a mic for the camera.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then when Nate and I go to the other libraries, I'll do that. I'll say, and I'm going to go to the Putney, Vermont Public Library, because it's that one's a little smaller than I would like. But I think it looks like the library Shutesbury wants to have.
You know, the pictures, as I say, is worth 1,000 words. And
yes.
This, for many people that you or the rest of us may not know, this may be very informative and spark an interest. So
it might.
I think the Irving visit and the visits you're talking about are quite important, and may have the possibility of persuading people that are on the fence.
We'll see. I mean, the Irving visit. So the Irving Library is beautiful, and it's amazing, and it is an incredible resource for that town. And the library director and the building committee and the trustees of that town should be so proud of themselves for what they've created. And it's not going to do us any, it's really not going to work in our favor.
That's what I'm worrying about.
Can I just say something? Please. I worked at Irving Elementary, and I remember when I first started there, they had the top of the line brand new desktop Apples in their computer lab. Everybody, all staff had Apple laptops, and it's because Northfield Mountain's there. Northfield Mountain is to pay the town a lot of money. I remember when the principal put in for a 13% increase in the school budget. Like, she never thought that would fly, but it did. The school committee passed it because that town has more resources than we do. So it's a very different situation. It's a very low socioeconomic community too, as you can probably tell just from driving through it. But you know, they have it's just a whole different ball of wax than.
Yeah,
right.
I think that's right. I think that what Marianne's suggesting, which, you know, making clear, is that this is a double-edged sword, this visit, right? And I think as trustees, it's our responsibility to make sure that people understand that we see that. If it were up to me, I'm not sure I would have chosen this as a field trip for us.
Right. And this is not up to us. This is a requirement. So
right.
And to see a small library that was recently built. That's right. Yeah.
I think we might want to consider whether we want a message to go out before we go.
To the people who are joining us?
To the town. I'm brainstorming a little bit here.
Okay. To the people who might be viewing that video.
Yes, to the people who might view the video and say, look, they want to build a palace in Shutesbury. Okay, we don't want to build a palace in Shutesbury. We want to build the library that the town needs and can afford. And I think we might want to think about communicating that. Going to the Irving Library is a requirement of the grant process. we are not responsible for that requirement, nor are we responsible for which library we're required to visit. That's a state choice. But thinking about it in terms of how are we going to build support for this library, I'm not sure that it's going to do us a bunch of favors, to be perfectly honest, from what y'all are saying. And therefore, I think we might want to think about what we want to get out ahead of that meeting, ahead of that visit. And
Kate, do you
What do
think
y'all-
you
what do
could
y'all-
draft something?
I do, yeah.
Okay, and
I
then
mean,
if you draft it and then send it to me,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I was the one who
I'm
was
trying
there.
to think of a really, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
glad that I don't want to sound ungrateful for the opportunity to visit. And I don't want to sound like we want to rule out learning what we can learn, because we never do. But this is a cost per square foot that we don't think is viable for our town. And we know that already. So why not say it?
Right, right, right. I mean, I have the paper in the car, I have their whole budget, and it's really more than $5 million. And it's, and I just think we need to, I think we should say it, in a way that's really appreciative and respectful
Yeah.
of the Irving Library
Yeah.
folks, and congratulates them for what they've done, and congratulates the MBLC for supporting them in doing it. And then we say, we hope that we can,
Build a library in Shutesbury that suits us as well as that suits them,
right,
or something like that.
Right.
Michelle, you're the chair. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to be able to say that I can't remember specifically, and maybe Kate or whoever else was there looking at lot 052. They were talking about, I think that's where it was. Lauren was talking about some of the problems that Irving had with their project. Now, I know Hadley went over. I can't remember if Irving did as well, but I know there was a problem.
Did,
The
because
contractor that they chose was all the way from New York State. Like,
yeah, or Connecticut or somewhere like that.
they were
Yeah.
from New York State, and they had problems getting there. And I said, what do you mean they had problems getting there? Before I knew they're from New York State, it's right off Route 2. And she said, oh, like they had to choose the lowest bid, and the contractor was from New York State, and they had problems getting there. Like, I don't get that. Like, that seems stupid to choose.
Yeah, I don't know how much of that we can get into, really. in
No,
our-
I don't know either, but I just would like us to find out more information about, like, why did it cost so much? And if they went over budget, it'd be nice to know that.
No,
I-
it costs so much because it's 8,000 square feet, and because it has a maker space and 2 collaborative meeting spaces and a big community meeting room, and like the director's office the director's office is bigger than Becky's office over at town hall.
Oh, really?
And not that it shouldn't be, and then it has like lots of staff workspace and lots of storage space, and it has desks that are on hydraulics that the level can raise and lower. They're all broken.
Already?
Ready? Wow.
And then it has, so it has a lot of space. So it's got a maker space. So then it has tables and chairs in the maker spaces. It has, it has desks and shelving and tables and chairs everywhere. So it has a kitchenette. That's really a nice thing. Yes, Tim. So
personally, I would go a little step further or different than a statement going out before the visitor or before the video is made available. To me, it would make sense that wherever the video is posted for public access, that it be posted with an explanation that shows up as you look at the link. And it says why the visit occurred, and in a nice positive way clarifies that this does not mean that we are shooting for that, in better words, that we're not shooting for that size of a library or those particular amenities. I'm
I think we
just
need
concerned
both,
that,
Tim. I think we
once,
need both, to be honest. there's going to be people on this tour. We are inviting people on this tour who are not enthusiastic about a new library in Shutesbury. And so I think and they're going to come back before this video ever gets posted, and they're going to have feelings and opinions, and their opinions are going to get shared. And so whenever you have a chance to get your message out first in a campaign, that's what you want to do. So I think we need both. I think we need to go out first and say, we're going on this trip because it's an opportunity to see a library that is serving its community well. This is a requirement of the state grant, and we're glad to be able to do it. And we congratulate Irving and the trustees and all of the townspeople on the work that they did to build their library. This is a library that suits them. We're going to be looking to build a library that suits us. And, you know, honestly, the cost per square foot is prohibitive for Shutesbury. And I think we just need to say that out front, up front.
We can say we're very mindful of the cost of square foot or something like that. You know, you'll say it better than me. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, so we all
And do what
agree
you
that there
said
should be like
too.
sorry.
Sorry, no, Melanie, I'm just so I'm really clear. Tim, I think what you're saying is good too. I think that whenever the link is posted, it should have a similar disclaimer. And I'm sorry if I talked right over you too, Melanie.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just want to, for the minutes, I put, we're going to send we're going to make available, whatever, I'll wordsmith it, a pre-visit and post-visit message, right?
Yeah.
Like there's going to be pre-visit and post-visit messaging. Okay.
Yep, that makes sense.
Remember, I always have my husband in my mind saying, you know, when I say certain things, and he'll be like, I don't want to hear about anything fancy or anything expensive. This town cannot afford that and isn't going to vote for that. And if you want a library, you have to build a modest library that, you know, that this town can afford. And I can just remember when us saying, you know, this plan is going to be about the size of the library. And I can remember people saying, we are not Leverett, you know, and so, and boy, this place makes Leverett look pretty modest.
You know, I wasn't really that impressed with Leverett, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know?
So
Anyway.
Yeah. But I mean, it's, you know, they have all that big, beautiful space and it's still serving them well 20 years later. You know, they haven't outgrown it. So it's, you know, it's not as charming as like the Wendell Library, which is really charming, but pretty small.
Right.
But I'll go to Wendell, I'll go to Leverett. I wish that I had Nate. The library that I was in one of the libraries I was in Idaho was really, really quite nice. But we'll do some videos of some other libraries too to give people other ideas. And
Can I ask who Nate is?
So Nate's the person who did the video at the meeting the other night. And so he was the one in the back with the video camera.
Okay.
Nate Longcope, he lives here in town. He has some experience doing videos. He knows where to get a video camera. And you know, he has experience editing videos. So
did you say long coat, like a long coat?
No, Longcope, Longcope. And he's, you know, has a family in town. He has a little girl and a baby on the way in the fall. So,
So are we all good with this discussion about the Irving
Savannah
Library?
has a question.
I think Savannah's muted.
Okay. Oh, sure. Savannah, yeah.
So I only wanted to say one thing is, I think it's really important though to find a real balance between making it clear that we're looking at building a library that's within the means of the town and sort of sizing ourselves out of the future, you know, thinking about how is this library that we're gonna build, is it gonna be adequate 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you know? You know, I mean, I guess I wouldn't want to just squeeze us so tight that, you know, not give people the impression that we're going to really go on the cheap.
Right.
Yeah, that's
So,
a good-
you know, a library within our means, but that meets our needs. And the requirement is the grant is that it meets our needs for the next 20 years.
Right.
And
I think that's a good point, Savannah, because, you know, when you look at Leverett's hours too, they're not open nearly as much. I saw that they had a yoga class
right.
once, so I went to their website. I'm like, they're hardly ever open.
Yeah.
So our community needs certain things from the library more than maybe Leverett does. So
Yeah.
maybe
I
those
think
folks
it's a
use the
really
giants.
good point,
Mhm.
Savannah.
Yep. I do too.
And one other thing, so I think this has been a really wide ranging conversation, really good conversation. One thing that I think that it's really difficult to take into account is demographic change. But when I think about how the climate is changing and how relatively desirable places like Shutesbury that are relatively cool, have good water sources, are high up, away from sea level, etc., are going to be over the next 15 to 20 years, it's not really going to be possible for us to build a library that is going to manage demographic change. And to my mind, when I think about it, because it's just going to happen so fast, y'all, it's going to happen, it's going to tip. Okay, it's going to be one of those tipping point things, and things are going to start happening really quickly. And so I think Savannah's right. And I also think that there's part of this that is just unknowable. And that what we have to do is build a library that the town can afford now and think about flexibility as much as we can. And the other thing I just wanted to report is that I sent Natalie Blaze, who's our state representative,
Yeah.
a description of what we were hoping to do in Shutesbury, along with some stuff that, to be perfectly honest, I'm really hoping that we do in our new library. I've talked about with a couple of y'all, including that we have some showers, so that if we have a prolonged power outage like we did in 2008, that people have a place to wash, that we have a steady power supply, that we have the ability to have potable water on all the time in our library. You know, some things that will help us be more resilient to the changes that we know are going to come. I sent this to Natalie because Natalie is interested in letting Joe Comerford know about it. And the reason that Joe needs to know about it is that Joe, as a senator, has an ability to earmark in a way that members of the representatives do not have. And so I just wanted Joe to know that. I think it's time for us to start looking for additional sources of funding for our library if we want to make it. Every building built now should have heat pumps. Nobody should build a building that doesn't have a heat pump. If we can't afford it in town, it's because, you know, then we need to find another way to do it. So like building a relationship with the utility is another step that I'm thinking about doing, so that we can look for additional incentives and support that aren't available through the MBLC process, but are available to us as a green community, are available under the governor's executive order or under the Climate Change Act that passed in January. So I think that there's a lot of ways, like a $5 million price tag sounds huge for Shutesbury, right? It's 1.5 million more than the one that we wanted to build 10 years ago. And we know that the costs escalate, they don't escalate that much. But on the other hand, if there's things that we really want the library to serve, and I think that there should be, then it's not too early to start looking for, at least getting familiar with where additional sources may come from, if we're fortunate enough to get the grant and we have an opportunity to go ahead. So I just wanted to let y'all know that I'm doing a little bit of work and thinking about that.
Okay, sounds good.
I have a question for Kate. And this question is meant very respectfully, but I understand that in the past, there was a dichotomy on the previous library attempt where I think it was the chair of the Board of Trustees was communicating to the public separately. And so my question, Kate, is, was your communication to Natalie done after consulting with Mary Ann and other people on the board, or was it totally on your own?
I have talked to Marianne and I think Michelle, but I may be wrong about that last, and said that I was going to meet, I'm meeting with Natalie about something else in my professional capacity. But I also took the opportunity during that meeting to say, because Natalie is also a former chair of her local library board of trustees. And she's very sympathetic to the cause of libraries. I took the opportunity to say, look, we're looking forward to the opportunity to build a library in Shutesbury. And if we have one, there are things that I think our library is going to need to be able to do that we may not be able to afford to do without additional support. So that was the context for it. It's a great question, Tim.
Okay.
And trust has the ability to speak on behalf of the trustees.
You cut out. Can you say that again?
Did I really? Okay, the chair of the trustees is allowed to speak on behalf of the trustees.
Okay. Is there, just for my education, what caused this? Is my understanding of what happened in the past correct? And how did that, what was the difference, I guess, in how communications were structured?
There is a bylaw that empowers the chairs to speak and communicate on behalf of the trustees.
Okay.
I can't remember the history of that bylaw, whether that's just always been in place or whether we put that in place. And Mary, I don't know, or Michelle, I don't know if you remember.
I can't recall exactly when that went into place. But
So
you're right,
in the
but you're right,
past,
Tim. There
yeah.
were some issues that things were said that the rest of us didn't know about. Now, Kate, we did talk about this a little bit with Lauren and I forget the other woman's name, when we were on lot 032. and they
With
were talking-
Andrea and Lauren.
Yeah. They were, you didn't say specifically that you were going to do this, but she encouraged us to look into that because they know that there's funding coming up. So
in the past, there was a library trustee who sometimes didn't do the best job communicating. It was a really challenging time. It was sort of the opposition to the library took us by surprise. And there was a library trustee who didn't always do the best job communicating.
Marianne, you keep breaking out a little bit.
Do I? I wonder why.
Maybe turn your video off, Marianne.
Turn my video off. Okay. It says,
Yeah.
okay. It says that my internet connection is unstable.
Maybe because
So,
you've
That's
got both
much better.
Maybe because
Is
you've
it?
got both of the
Okay.
computers on there, Marianne.
Maybe, yes, I don't know why, but so anyway, so at that time we asked that person to defer communications to Kate.
Oh, okay. So, and that person was not the chair at that time.
I don't remember.
Yes, she
She
was.
was the chair.
She
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
She was the chair.
Yeah.
There was a general feeling that she wasn't representing very well the sense of the trustees or the needs of the library enthusiasts in how she was choosing to communicate.
Yeah,
I only
and also-
brought it up because I really just want to reiterate my feeling that I think that everybody on the board, as they communicate to the public, is pretty much giving the exact same message
I
and
completely
communication,
agree.
and we all should be aware of, in general, what one another is communicating, so that
Yeah.
we
it's a
don't
really
get a
good-
he said, she said type of thing.
Yeah, I really appreciate, I I can't exactly tell you how much I appreciate what you're raising here, Tim. I think it's extremely important. And you've heard me say this a couple of times tonight. I think that the key message that trustees can deliver wherever we are, whatever context we're in, is that we take very seriously our responsibility to provide the library that Shutesbury needs and can afford. I feel like that's our bottom line. And I actually feel as an elected official that was my oath of office. Okay. It wasn't what I literally affirmed, but it is what I think of as my oath of office as a trustee. I have committed to the voters of Shutesbury that I will take into account in my actions anything that we can do to provide Shutesbury with the library that it needs and can afford. Okay, I think that's our key message. And when we go to places like Irving, which God bless them, you know, it sounds amazing. And I hope that we can do as well for our town as they did for theirs, but it doesn't mean it's going to look like theirs or cost like theirs. Okay.
Right.
And I feel like this is really, really important. And I will tell you that there was a little part of me that winced pretty hard when someone at the meeting on last week said, you know, I'd love to have a little cafe in our library. This was a real sticking point last time. The idea
That was me. I didn't know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that it was you.
No, that's fine. I got an earful from Michael
Yes.
DKR afterwards. He said, "Don't ever say that again."
What was it that was said?
I said that we should have like a little cafe because someone had mentioned at one of the community meetings too about like having like a fundraising, like a mechanism for
Okay.
like fundraising with selling baked goods, and it'd be like built into the fundraising mechanism be built into the library through like a cafe. So I mentioned that, and Michael
You know,
DiChiara
that's a
said, never say that
different-
again because last time that sunk us. But I didn't know
Well,
that.
I don't know
That was only
it's
one
something.
of the things. That was
It
only
was one thing, and you didn't do
Yeah.
anything. I didn't say that to make you feel bad.
Oh, no, I don't feel bad. No,
Okay.
I'm learning as I go along because I didn't live here last time, so I don't know, you know.
But there
I'm-
was an unfortunate pairing of things that we normally think of as private goods. Okay. We normally think of like the ability to do yoga as a private good. The ability to have a cup of to buy a cup of coffee, it's a private good, right? You go to Starbucks or you go to your yoga studio. And those got wrapped into the public good, which is the library. And I think we will serve ourselves well if we try to keep those things separate. I'd love to be able to get a cup of coffee at the library. I really hope that we get it out of a coffee machine. Go ahead, Savannah.
Savannah has something she wants to say.
So Kate, I guess I just wanted to ask you about, you know, you say the library that Shutesbury needs and can afford. As I recall, the last, you know, go around, there were people who felt in general that Shutesbury doesn't need another library, that this one is perfectly fine. So is this the same? Do we use the same thing you just said, or do we have to have something
Yeah,
different?
we're not all going to agree on whether we need a library. Okay.
Uh-huh.
We're not all going to agree. Some of us think that we don't. Some of us think that we do.
Mhm.
All right. And we're not all going to agree on that. Our chances of agreeing with each other are better if whatever we build is within the scope of what we can afford. Okay. Because even people who really wanted to support a new library last time were really concerned about the cost, legitimately concerned about the cost, and felt like they could not in conscience support that because of the cost. So that's how I would answer that question.
Mhm. Okay.
It's a democracy. Shutesbury's a democracy. We don't have to have consensus. Everyone doesn't have to agree.
Right.
We have to find a way to be agreeable, I would argue,
Mhm.
but we don't
Yeah.
have to agree. I know that there are people who don't think that we need a new library in town. I disagree with them. I disagree with the idea that you can have any town employee working in a place where they can't wash their hands.
Especially
I
if it's-
disagree with the idea that you can't have a public building where you really can't actually move a wheelchair around.
Yeah.
Disagree with the idea that it's okay to not have a flush toilet in 2021. I hear you and I disagree with you. If you think that we don't need a new building. Okay, I really think that we do. But what I want to agree with everyone on is that we shouldn't build a new building that we can't afford.
Mhm.
Right.
Does that help, Savannah?
Yeah, that's great.
So, are we good then? Are we gonna let Kate Kate to draft a little statement that can go out prior to the visit on the 30th? Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
I see a lot nodding. Okay, all right.
Really appreciate your trust, y'all. I really do. Thank you.
This is great discussion tonight. Excellent. And then the only other thing, Marianne, I just put long range plan. You've got so much to do. Are you going to have time to get this done? But is it supposed to be done by the 30th, or is that just your initial goal?
So I just want to get the long range plan. I'm working on it. I emailed Brad and Melanie earlier today. So I actually wrote 4 goals. Would you guys like to read the 4 goals now? And see if you want to just approve that page. It's 8:36. Do people feel like they have energy for that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes,
I-
please.
Yeah, as long as it's
Okay.
not so controversial, it's going to take another hour.
Well, then
I'm sure they're not. I'm
if they
kidding.
are, then you can just say that. So let me find
I'm just
them.
kidding. I'm sure they won't be.
Okay. Do you see them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I'll make them bigger.
That'd be great. Thank you. It is a little hard to read.
Okay. And here, I'll just make the font size bigger.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Alrighty. So in the past, they wanted goals and then they wanted objectives. Now they just want goals.
Oh, nice.
And people ask for a lot of things. We can't do everything because we are just one person. So the long range plan, like I'm updating sort of the town profile and the library profile and that kind of stuff. And that's just a matter of, so Brad and Melanie both agreed to work on it with me. And so we're going to have a meeting later this week just to read over all of that. And then I did these goals today. So let me know what you think. I'm open to people suggesting titles for the goals and suggesting different goals entirely.
I mean, just a quick look, they look relevant to me. I don't know if you need to have titles to them, but anyway, just thought.
I can't read that at all. It's so tiny. Is anyone else having a problem?
No,
Are
no,
you on an iPad? You can just expand it with your fingers.
Yeah, no, I'm not on an iPad. I'm on a
Yeah.
laptop.
yeah, I can
Okay.
read it. She
I
made,
can read it.
she made the font bigger. Huh, okay.
All right, you're gonna see my face really close. Oh, that's better.
Okay.
Hey, Marianne.
Yeah.
This is so good.
Yeah, I think it was a great start. I mean, Yeah.
It's funny because I'm thinking about how I'm in the middle of doing our annual planning too, and our strategic planning right now. And I'm thinking about like if you did want to title them, I would say number 1 is steady presence. Number 2 is responsive resource. Number 3 is training and technology. And number 4 is, I haven't figured out number 4 yet.
Could you move it up? I can't read goal 4.
Yeah. It's cut out.
Oh, thank you.
Welcoming space.
There you go. And I'll go back and make sure they're all spelled right and everything. You know?
That's beautiful.
Very nice.
Lovely.
I
Oh,
have
okay.
a question about
Yeah.
goal 1, and I hate to sound like a jerk, but I'll ask it. It seems to me goal 2 could simply say include in the first sentence, the library will remain a constant, steady, and vital, relevant, and responsive community resource. And because goal 1 seems to be superfluous to everything else. Goal 2, 3, and 4 are great, but goal 1 is kind of like off on its own and saying something that could be easily included by adding 3 words to goal 2.
I was thinking
Just-
about that too, Tim, and I thought that too. But then the other thing that I thought is that it's the if we weren't in COVID times, I would totally agree with you. But because we are, I feel like goal 1 is a piece just of its own. Like the ability of the library to still be there is not something we should take for granted. And it actually does seem like a thing of it on its own, especially because of the way Marianne's got the in-person, remote, and hybrid platforms.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would
I
totally be with you. It's the COVID that's made me think differently.
Did you just,
And not every town can say that. You know, not every town can say that their library has been a constant, steady presence through
Yeah.
COVID.
True. A lot of
Yeah.
people-
I'm not disagreeing with the constant and steady. I'm just suggesting that those words be included in number 2 and eliminate goal number 1. It's just a thought. I just wanted to see if anybody else felt that way.
Yeah, I like it as is. I agree with Kate. I think,
Yeah.
the fact that we were open, even if it was curbside pickup, it was very popular. Every time I went up there were lots of bags. And, and having all the things remote that we've had, all the offerings, it's been fabulous.
Mhm.
I
Right,
would like
so-
to say that Tim Logan is not a jerk for suggesting that we eliminate goal 1 and incorporate it into other goals. That
Second,
was,
all in favor?
aye.
You can't see me, but I'm raising my hand. Yeah.
In favor of what?
Oh, in favor of
Saying Tim
Saying that you're
Logan's
not a jerk.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You said, I don't mean to be a jerk.
Not even.
You were like making a really good valid point, and you were like, I don't mean to be
Absolutely.
a jerk. I just,
No.
Yeah, I don't preface things like that by saying that, Tim.
you're definitely not being a jerk.
You're just looking at it a different way, but I think Kate's point is well taken. I think because we were open and other places weren't, I think it makes sense.
And it's really about the library is like we're going to have a goal that we're going to be here even in times when it would be quite reasonable to not be here,
Right.
So we're going to build a library that powers itself so that it's open when the power is out every place else.
But you know what?
Mhm.
What you just said,
Sure.
Marianne, makes a great deal of sense. Why don't you actually say that in goal 1 and in the words that you just used? Because what you just said is clearer and much more meaningful.
So what did I say? The library.
Second,
Well, that would be our library of the future if we get this grant. Then we'll have all those. We'll be
So
able
what
to
did I
do-
say?
I don't know.
It's about the library is going to
Anyway.
be here, no matter what the times are. I mean, it's really hard to say. The library is going to be here through difficult times. We will be, you know, you can go ahead. A constant and steady presence. I think if you just, I don't know, it was eloquent when you said it, and I can't recapitulate it, but
All right, the library will be here through difficult times.
a constant and
Even-
steady presence. Yeah,
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 comma, constant.
Yes.
Sentences. Yeah, that makes sense.
in the community. And I think you can just go right to there. Everything
Harriet,
else you've got.
Okay, and then I think, so I want to,
I like that last phrase there that you have still have. I think that needs to be
Yeah.
there. Even though
Okay,
it might, some of it might be in other parts, other goals, I still think that's important that it's there.
right, right. This is about,
It's like the big picture goal.
so libraries are essential services.
Mhm.
Oh, can we call it essential service instead of steady presence?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
yes.
Yeah, I like that one.
There
You
you
know,
go.
I'm an essential
I
worker.
don't agree with that. Your whole point is to talk about stability, and you've just decided to pull out the word steady.
But steady's in there.
It's still in there. It's in the
Somebody
goal.
just, I thought you just said that. Lou, that
I pulled
steady
it out of the
presence-
title. I
Yeah,
changed
it's-
the title.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So steady presence is in there, and I changed the title to essential service.
I like that.
Because there were people who were saying that the library is not an essential service and it should be closed.
Who said that?
Wrong
it-
people.
People in the community, I
Wrong.
suppose.
people.
Wait, at the
Um,
meeting, at that
Nancy,
big
you're on
public
mic.
meeting? we had?
No. So when I had COVID, and the library had reduced hours, just like reduced hours, I managed to get subs in, from my bed. And people somebody emailed the Board of Health and said the library should be closed. It's not an essential service.
So
And
one
I don't
person,
think they were
one person?
concerned about one person, and I don't think they were concerned about my health.
Outlier,
Yeah.
outlier.
Okay, all the more reason to call it essential service. Are we good? I'm sort of fading here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's great.
Thank you
These
for
are good.
sharing.
The rest of the stuff, I'll get a draft to Melanie and Brad too before we have our meeting. I'll post the meeting as soon as the three of us agree on a time. And then we can approve the rest of it at the next meeting, but the rest of it is really just formal stuff.
Mhm.
It's not like this is really what the long range plan is, these 4 goals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're going to be here no matter what. And we're going to try and provide relevant services no matter what. And we're going to still work on creating a welcoming space.
So I had one other thing on the agenda that we've run out of time to do. I just wanted to debrief about the August meeting, but maybe we can do that at the next meeting and combine it with
Okay.
the Irving visit. I just wanted to hear what people's thoughts were, so. But it's getting late.
We
Okay.
also had the building program and mediated sessions, so those are off too, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm waiting for a proposal on the mediated sessions.
Okay,
And then I'll get
Great.
them scheduled.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Hey, Tim, I really appreciated your making us take a second closer look at this. I think it's stronger. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? I have in my calendar something about Thursday with the library. What's happening Thursday?
That I know of.
I'm a
It
little
was-
behind the 8 ball. I
It was
just,
probably one of the tentative visits is my guess. I don't have my calendar with me. We don't have anything till, I think the next meeting's September 13th.
We have
Okay.
a meeting on the 23rd, I believe.
Do we? I don't have my.
Oh,
calendar.
wait, today's the
Today is
23rd.
the 23rd. We
Do have a meeting on the
meeting.
23rd. You're right, Tim. Yeah, so I think September 13th and then 27th.
okay,
And
Yeah.
then Yeah, and oh, here's a question. Can I just ask one question about the mediated
Sure,
sessions?
sure, go ahead.
Should I be at them or not?
Oh, great question. I don't know. I don't
I
know
think
enough about
any
this
of
stuff.
us who can commit to listening,
What was your question, Kate?
who should be at the mediated sessions, I think that any of us who can commit to listening in good faith should be at the mediated sessions.
I agree 150% with the idea of listening. You know, that's the point, to hear, not to necessarily promote an idea one way or the other. It's to hear
Well-
from people.
Well, a mediated session is really to help each viewpoint be heard by the other viewpoint, right? And we're part of one of the viewpoints. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's true.
gives-
and I was thinking about this so hard. And the one thing that I really feel like I need to cop to and apologize for is asking for the second vote. I
do you
think that
mean?
was
What do you
not
mean?
a good
What-
decision on my part.
What do you mean?
I don't think if I had to do it again, I don't think I would.
What
how does
second
that-
vote? What do you mean?
Well, so the way it worked last time was we had 3 votes. We had the first vote where we had to get by town meeting 2/3 majority vote to proceed with accepting the grant. Okay. And then we had a vote on whether the town would appropriate the amount required. And we lost. And we asked, because it's allowed, it's legal in Massachusetts, we asked for a second vote, a second townwide vote. And the select board, after an agonizing session, agreed to allow a second vote. And the second vote was tied 522 to 522.
Kate,
I
how do your
think-
comments tie to the question about listening at the,
Well, Savannah said, is there a viewpoint? We have a viewpoint. And what I'm saying is that my viewpoint now is that I think if it were my decision again today, after what I've learned over the last 12 years, I don't think I'd request that second vote. I think that there were 2 things that were really hard for people. I think one thing was the library and the price tag of the library and the idea of the library. And the other thing that was really hard was the democracy. And we voted and you made us vote again because you didn't like the way we voted the first time. And the library thing I can take. Okay, I can understand that we aren't going to agree with that. And we don't have to agree on that. But the democracy thing where we didn't like the vote, and we asked for a second one, I think I screwed that up, y'all. And I don't think I should have done that. Other people on this call who made that decision, I am not by in any means intending to impugn the decision that you made at that time. But if it were up to me now, I don't think I'd do that again. And I feel like that's the only thing that I have to say at a listening session is that's on me. I made that call and I don't think I was right.
Kate, to be honest, I'm a little confused about the tie between this and these meetings. I mean, I understand that you would have done something differently in the past, but isn't the question right now kind of on the table about do trustee members attend these meetings? And I think kind of the underlying question is, do we have the potential for being too vocal about our library enthusiasm and consequently not taking certain fiduciary responsibility and listening to what members of the community have to say? I feel like we just went down 2 tracks and I'm a little confused.
Fair enough.
I apologize, but I just trying to clarify.
No, you don't need to
Well,
apologize.
is it
It's been weighing on
because,
me.
is it, Kate, are you saying this because you feel like some of the stuff that's gonna come up is the baggage from the last time? Which
Well,
I wouldn't doubt that, I'm sure it'll come up.
I'm expecting it will. I'm expecting that baggage from last time is exactly what this is about. And in fact, that's what we want it to be about. We
Mhm.
want the mediated sessions to be about the baggage from last time. So the rest of the sessions are about building the new library.
Mhm.
If we don't make that distinction, then any new library conversation is going to be all about the baggage from last time. I would rather have it some delineation. And in my mind, the mediated sessions are about whatever we need to do to heal.
Mhm.
Others may not feel this way and others may not agree with me. And if you don't, I can actually shut up, believe it or not, but this is the thing that's weighing on me. This is the thing that's weighing on me.
Mhm.
Think about this. I'm fine with a campaign and I'm fine with a hard fight and I'm fine with winning and I'm fine with losing. I'm not fine with the second vote. I don't feel good about it. And if I'm in a meeting and I'm not intending just to listen, then that's probably what I'm going to say.
Mhm. Well, I think
Another ask,
even though I was part of this whole thing last time, I think that I would just prefer to listen.
another aspect of trustee members going to those meetings, which will promote discussion, but I'm just thinking out loud. I think there's a potential for trustee members being at different mediation sessions and potentially saying things that might be something that the board as a whole might not want to say. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yes.
I could easily blurt out some thought that was on my mind because I have diarrhea of the mouth. And that might be contrary to something the rest of the board members might think. And, going back to that idea of a cohesive message in attending these meetings, are we adding to it? Do we run a risk of not having a cohesive message? And do we run a risk of essentially maybe talking too much ourselves and not listening enough?
Well, that's why I wanted to be in listening mode. That's exactly why. And I hear what Savannah is saying. And Savannah's a trained mediator. She knows what she's talking about. Okay. And that's exactly like, there was no coherent message last time, right? That was one of our problems. We didn't have one. Are we going to have that going forward? Yes, we've decided that that's something that we want and something we value and something we're going to hold ourselves accountable to and accept the discipline of, right? But you can't go backwards and create a cohesive message where one didn't exist,
Right.
right? That's the challenge that we have. And that's why like the mediated sessions are really hard for me. And I don't want this to be about me anymore than it already is. It's 9 o'clock, but I got to tell you, y'all, this is what's keeping me up is I feel like I made a mistake.
Well, I think we shouldn't worry too much about sort of saying things that the rest of the board wouldn't say, because first of all, we just, part of the process of mediated session will be that there's a certain discipline to the whole thing. And it's not about just blurting things out. And if it does start happening, the mediator or the facilitators who are, they've done this forever, they'll know when to say, okay, let's go back to the question or whatever they'll say. I don't know exactly, but they'll be in some control of how the meeting goes. They're not in control of of the content, but they are in control of the process. So I don't think we need to worry too much, because I think they will, and they might consult with people in general before the meeting starts to see what kinds of rules or whatever you want to put, with everybody in the group wants to put in place. So I guess that's it. I guess it's not really something that we need to worry. The process is really not something we have to worry about.
Okay.
Thank you, Savannah.
All right, so maybe we should all think about this as
I think
individuals.
Brad's raising his hand though.
Oh, is he? It's hard to tell.
I thought so.
So it sounds like we started on the theme of should we be talking or just listening? And Kate, your answer in part was there's this one bit that you feel if came up, you would feel compelled to speak to, which made sense to me. In a general point, I think the purpose is to gather information and to make people feel like we're listening to them. I'm not clear how much of an exchange we want in that situation.
Yeah,
Would doing an exchange help? I don't know.
I don't know. Can I say, I don't want to make people feel like I'm listening to them. I want to listen to them.
Fair enough.
Right.
Thank you.
I
said-
actually, yeah, I know, but I'm not jumping on you because of you. I'm actually
Yeah.
trying to hold myself accountable to doing a better job. Okay.
But my point is we want to listen to people. And one way to listen is to say, to respond. If all they're doing is talking to us and we're actively listening, I mean, it's not active if there's not a response.
Yeah.
So I have this sense that to make the listening work right, Savannah, maybe you'll have a comment on this, that we should feel prepared to respond so that people know they've been heard. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I
I
have
also
a
think-
feeling that this is boiling down to whoever wants to attend from the board, we as a group simply need to rely on one another's integrity and judgment and sense of fiduciary responsibility as a board member when or if we attend a mediation.
Yeah. I think that's just absolutely right, Tim. And I do rely on all of that so completely. It's one of the very reasons that I can continue to want to serve with you all, is because that's absolutely rock solid for me.
And nobody on this board is a loose cannon, I don't think so. We should sort of not just assume that, I mean, we should just assume that we all have each other's best interests, with whatever we do in those meetings.
Thank you, Savannah. It was really helpful.
You're welcome.
All right, are we all set then? I think we'll just have to decide, between now and when the meetings happen, if you feel like going.
Yeah.
Sounds like we all.
The only thing is we haven't approved the director's report.
Oh, thank you for
I
reminding.
make a motion that we approve the director's report as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And for the next meeting, we'll debrief over the Irving visit and the August 17th meeting, and maybe if there's been any mediated things. And then our next meeting is September 13th at 7 o'clock.
One final question.
7:30?
Sorry, 7:30, sorry.
Mary Ann, is there anything that any of us can do in the next week, whatever, to take the burden off you in any way? Whether it's
No,
errands or writing or anything?
yeah, not that I can think of. I mean, I'm gonna
Okay.
work with Brad and Melanie on the long range plan. and get that done. If I think of something, Tim, I will send you a message. Okay.
Okay.
And Mary Ann, I'm gonna work on that sort of pre-buttal to the Irving Gazette.
Okay, and Brad has a comment, I guess.
This is me with my perpetual challenge of calendars. I can't keep things keep things straight. So the 30th, this is what I have. The 30th, we have Irving. The 13th of September, we have our next meeting. At some point, unscheduled, we will have the mediated sessions and we'll be invited to join if we can. I think that's the way that's going. And then Mary Ann, you've said that you want to try to get with Melanie and I to talk about the long range plan. I thought something else went by that I missed. Is that it? Is there anything else?
All right, then I want to have at least one online sort of brainstorming session using that Padlet I sent out.
Oh, right.
And if
Yes.
anybody has things they want to add to the Padlet, send it to me. And you know, and if it's, and I might add it. And then I'm gonna, so, you know, and I want to do at least one of those and see how many people come. And then I want to try and do some kind of a session, an in-person session with parents from the school. So, and I'm just trying to get this all scheduled. I thought I had a good plan with the school, but it looks like that's not going to work. Because we didn't have a lot of school families. We had hardly any elementary school families at that meeting last week. We
Yeah.
also,
I
yeah,
noticed that.
we, I haven't had time to get the word out, but we have this wish tree. It's one of the things that was in the building program template that they sent. So
It's in the
Susie
direct-
Mosier decorated a tree on the town common and we have tags out there in a box under the tree. And we're going to ask people to write their wishes for what we'll have in our library on there. And then, you know, that'll help be some of the data that we use for the building program. And then if people could sort of read through that building program template, and if there's something in there that looks like something you feel like you could work on, go ahead and let me know.
Hey, Mary Ann, would you mind bumping that up in my email?
I would not mind at all. I'll send that out either tonight or tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you.
I'll send it to
Thank
everybody.
you.
Okay.
I missed something. We have a building plan template in our hands.
Yes.
Your email. I'm going to send it out again tonight.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary Ann. I appreciate
I
it.
don't remember seeing that either.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
going to
we
send it
have
out
it.
again tonight.
I just don't want to find it.
Yeah.
And then the next deadline I have on my calendar is we're supposed to have a site by the 30th of September. Is that right?
Yeah,
Yes.
Brad, we talked about this while you were away.
Okay.
Too
I'm
long
just trying to
didn't read.
review my
That's all.
calendar.
It's really good, but too long didn't read. Mary Ann is asking friends for support for the environmental impact assessment. And Mary Ann is also going to let the library building specialist, Lauren and Andrea, know that that process may be delayed because of COVID.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Brad, we also have a meeting on September 27th. So you can add that to your calendar too, that we have 2 meetings in September.
Yeah.
So can
Yeah.
I ask a question?
Got it.
How many people use Google Calendar? Most people?
I have one on my phone.
Okay.
I have one
I
on my
use-
iPhone. I don't know if it's Google
Mary
or
Ann,
not.
I don't know, maybe you and I can talk offline about this, but I was just thinking at the beginning of the meeting, I was saying I couldn't find the link. And I realized when I was doing a lot of Zoom meetings, when I was working for the collaborative, they went into those links went right into my Google Calendar, and I was setting up meetings with people, you know, like sending them the invitation, and it went into their Google Calendar. And that might be so much easier if we all knew.
Yeah, because Google Calendar
starting
goes
to
into
get-
Outlook too.
It what?
It can also go in, I use Outlook for work.
Yeah, me too.
If we can create a Google Calendar, it will also work with Outlook, which would probably help a lot of us.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. There's going to be so many meetings. It is hard to keep it straight.
It is.
But it would mean having access to the Zoom account. I can't use the collaborative Zoom account and I don't have a personal one. So I don't know if Marion, why don't you and I talk about it? I'd be happy to do that if the town will let me do it. So why don't we talk offline about it, maybe sometime later
Okay.
this week?
Our Zoom account, oh, this Zoom account is the town Zoom account.
Yeah, we would need a
Um,
different one.
Yeah, the library Zoom account is the library Zoom account, and then this Zoom account is the town Zoom account. And it's good to use this Zoom account because the recordings automatically go to the town clerk. And they have more recording space on it. So, the library's account doesn't have very much space for storing recordings. And then it saves me the step of having to send the town clerk the
Yeah.
recording. And like, I don't need any steps added right now.
I know, that's why I was trying to think if I
Yeah.
could if I could relieve you of
After
setting up
September
everything.
30th, I would entertain looking at the library Zoom account to see if that could be fixed, or,
Yeah, no, I was just wondering if we could
Yeah.
talk to see if I could
Yeah.
set up the Zoom meetings and then through the town account, and if they'd let me do it, and then we can all go into our Google calendars, because this is a lot to keep track of. There's a lot going on.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
well, give us some thought and I'll talk to you
Madam
later. We'll see if
Chair,
we can figure
Can I
something. Yes,
propose a
yes.
round of applause for Mary Ann before we close tonight? Thank you.
Oh, she's got a lot on her plate. That's what I was trying to figure out. Is there some way to streamline some of this to help her?
Yeah.
I think we're ready to adjourn if everybody's all set. Everybody all set? Okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
adjourn. We'll see some of you on the 30th for the tour. And thank you, Melanie, for taking the minutes. And we'll all have to look at our Padlet. I didn't have time today, and also the building plan template. I don't remember seeing that. All right.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, good night,
Okay.
everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Oh, there's no kitties on the porch.
Well, last time I looked, Henry's on the bed and Gracie, I think, might be in the living room, sitting room. Might be. Whoa.
Did you have your dessert already?
Yep, yours is on the oven. You said you were, I mean, there's vanilla ice cream, but if you want to get the cherry.
Okay.
I mean, there's vanilla in the fridge here. New coaster, the world's fastest accelerating roller coaster, has been closed after it breaks riders' bones. Riders' bones were broken from the impact from the speed. Well, and you'd think those were probably fairly young and healthy people.
He's been in that bed all day. What's the point yet?